Hello, it is a dark episode for August the 31st, 2024. And yeah, I guess I am still somewhat reeling from um, yesterday and the passing away of the assistant manager at my house. Um, yeah, that kind of came up a couple of times today, but it's going to. It's fairly natural. Uh, Still just kind of processing and doing that. Um, I had started before I went to work yesterday watching The Acolyte, and I decided, hey, let's see if I can get Janine to watch along with me. She watched the first half of it, and then we've watched the second half of it today, just as something else to do, and that was good. I Acolyte is I guess the kind of the semi-failed show of Star Wars, the Star Wars thing. I can't say I've been particularly interested, other than watching Andor. I've not really watched any of that. I didn't watch the final movie in the Force Awakens trilogy of movies after the 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 Last Jedi one. I was just like, oh, okay, it's probably not for me, or at least this isn't for me. And everything I heard about the final one was it was a complete shit show. And the shows, I tried The Mandalorian, one or two episodes, and just like, oh, this is so fucking light. I did, after a lot of watching a lot of talk from people I like online talking about Andor, about exactly how really well done it was. I did watch that, and that was like the most Star Wars show that's set in the Star Wars universe, but really well done. Which means nobody fucking watched it in what numbers that they need for stuff like that, and probably it wouldn't have gotten a second season unless it was pre-approved, and it didn't get such great critical response. I think Disney was just desperate for a win, so they've done various other ones that sounded like they were also just fucking wastes of time. But Acolyte, it was just like one of these ones of people were just like, I'm interested in the ideas, but I can't. It's like I wish there was a better show to be able to defend. And finally, the tipping point, because I keep on hearing people talking about it, was like, oh, okay, Bibbs and Whitney of Critically Acclaimed claim they do a cancel too soon show, where it's like, has this show been canceled too soon? And they decided, hey, this one, we're gonna do this one. It was canceled last week, The Acolyte. And I was like, okay, fine. I watch Fish Police for them, to kind of play along. I've tried it with some of the other shows where I'm like, okay, I'll try an episode. It's like, okay, I think this is crap, and they're professional crapmeisters in the most loving, wonderful, sifting sort of way. But I don't need to waste my time with that. But yeah, I watched Fish Police and I enjoyed that. So what the heck? I will watch The Acolyte. I'll try the first episode. I tried the first episode. I ended up watching 4 episodes before I went to work yesterday, and everything happened. And so Jacques caught up today, and we watched the last 4 episodes. And having watched the first 4 episodes, I was like, oh, I can see there's flaws in here, but it's kind of going pretty good, actually good. And then they do the twist, and then they try and explain the twist, and it definitely kind of falls apart and goes off the rails. They really seem to be twisting themselves into knots to make it the second half match the first half, and like the Rashomon kind of retelling it from two angles, and this is what their motivations were. And it's really, you can really feel writers desperately trying to get this to move in a way that feels very forced, very effortful. So while the actors are really good, it's all, impeccable looking as Star Trek. And I like the idea of like the Jedi are just this weird fucking Catholic Church cult that indoctrinates children, and the witches are another cult that like to, well, turns out they like to create children to indoctrinate. Um, and I guess they, I mean, it's just like, okay, I know this is in the past, but they've got high technology, so the whole thing of, making kids doesn't seem like it should be that much of a thing. But I mean, I think they're special kids. They're gonna have special 4C powers. But I'm yeah, it's that it's getting into whole kind of uh, 4C thready, religiousy lore stuff that really does not interest me at all. Um, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that just like, uh, it's like I like the whole fact of like, it's like, okay, there's this weird cult raising these two kids, and social services comes along, but it turns out social services is also a cult that also indoctrinates children, young children. And there's kind of like a good kind of there, but then we get into just kind of the particulars of this story is just not. I mean, I was confused. Like before the first four episodes, was like, oh, okay, well, this is nowhere near as complicated or as intricate and nuanced as something like Andor. But it's more kind of, oh, okay, this is kind of a light, not too demanding uh, Star Wars story, which makes total sense for the Star Wars universe. I can see all the things that we're gonna, we have people of color, we have obviously LGBT coded witches, we have them questioning, the Jedi are not just good guys; they're this weird cult, obviously kind of a Catholic Church stand-in here. Why this is all going to piss off true fans, um, but it's like, oh yeah, this is all understandable. And then you can see they do the twist, and it's like, oh, they do not have the skills to be able to tell. It should have stayed fairly straightforward, is what I'm saying. If it stayed fairly straightforward and you could understand the story, it may not have been as twisty, but it would have been far more enjoyable as kind of a mid-level Star Wars show. But unfortunately, did not have the skills to, or maybe they had too much ambition and they just didn't have the skill to get there, something like that. So, I mean, I can't say, Bibbs and Whitney are always like, was this canceled too soon? It's like, I can't say that I have great faith that these particular creators could have righted themselves. It feels like the more rope you gave them, the more twisty and complicated and convoluted, and that we end up with the back of Yoda's head at the end is just like, that's gross. They had a couple of times where they had like, I have a bad feeling about this, or strike them down and you will become more powerful, or something like that. You'll have completed your journey to basically the dark side, stuff like that. That's just like, you should really avoid that. Really, I think you should avoid that in your shows. So, yeah, not nearly as bad as I thought it was gonna is be from what it's built up, but also I can see all the people who are like, I like the ideas, but I wish it was a better show. So yeah, it wasn't canceled too soon on my thing. Now I'm gonna go listen to Bibbs and Whitney and see what they say about it. And I thank it for being something that I could just kind of let my mind dwell on at the moment to give myself a little break from very incidental, you know, what's going to be, it's going to be tough. It's going to be, fuck, it's so fucking sad that Lisa is gone. And B, we're going to have to, we're going to have to step up. It's going to be tough on a couple of levels going forward. So it's good to have a little break. So I thank you, Acolyte, for that, and I'm sure I'm going to have more time now that I've actually watched the episodes, that I can kind of like, oh, what the other people think happened there, and stuff like that. All right, I will leave it there. More videos later.